Hello and welcome to Discussions with the Director. My name is Dr. Shileste Overton Morris and I serve as the Chief Program Officer at the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit and Director of the Center for Schools and Communities. These discussions give me the opportunity to share with you how our core values connect with our work here at the Center. Our core values include service to others, equity in action, passion for excellence, and innovation for growth. Today's discussion will focus on innovation for growth as we talk about our work to use innovation to build capacity of after-school programs in Pennsylvania. I am so honored today to be speaking with Contrell Armor, Director of the Pennsylvania After-School Youth Development Network, or PSAYDN, at CSC. Welcome, Contrell.
Thank you.
Since you are relatively new to this position, I wanted to share a little bit about the history of Poseidon. When the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation first began seeking states to apply for the funding, Pennsylvania was one of the states that were approached. And there was much discussion about where the work would land. And because the center has been seen as a Switzerland type of an organization, as an intermediary, we work closely with the Department of Education and the Department of Public Welfare at that time, which is now Human Services, to write the grant and have the work sit here. I was glad to be a part of that founding team of Poseidon, so this work is really close to my heart. So in 2021, the Pennsylvania Joint State Government Commission released a report on the return on investment in after-school programs. Can you tell us a little bit about the report and the results of it and what it means for after school in Pennsylvania?
Sure. Thank you, Celeste, for having me here this morning. As you mentioned, Celeste, the PA Joint State Government Commission released a report in 2021 with a return on investment for every dollar spent in after school saves $6.69 in other areas of youth development. When we talk about those other areas, we're talking about high school dropout, teen pregnancy, crime and delinquency, all of those areas that now we know have an impact, that we know that after school has an impact in those areas. Right now, for every one student in Pennsylvania that's in after school, there are 4 more that are waiting to get in. That leaves us anywhere from 775,000 to 1 million students that want to be in after school program. And if we know now that we can invest $1 in that student to be part of that process in after school and save $6.69 in the long run, that's an investment that is well worth, I believe, Pennsylvania to take.
Right, and I think that's a huge impact and something for Pennsylvania taxpayers to think about as they think about where their taxpayer dollars go.
We know quality after school program inspires students to come to school on a regular day basis. We know that after school programming builds relationships between students, their peers, and also teachers. Many of the after school programs are directed by regular school day teachers. So just those small social type of things that are happening around after school, the academic enrichment and expanded learning that happens. But then again, we can't ignore the number of that cost of the taxpayer in Pennsylvania.
Right, I remember being a part of the After School for All Challenge, and one of the taglines that they shared was, after school keeps kids safe, inspires learning, and helps working families. So Contrell, I know that Poseidon focuses on 3 goals from the Mott Foundation that are required for this work: sustainability, quality, and policy. So I know Poseidon has made great leaps in terms of innovation and grant seeking in these areas. So can you tell me a little bit about why these goals are important and the work that's been achieved in them?
When we talk about quality, the first thing that we have to address is access to the program. Once students have that access to the program, we then have to look at ways that are innovative in teaching and learning and expanding their learning that they get during a regular school day. Some of those projects would include the XR program, which is pretty much extended reality, whether it's all based in the system or it's augmented, where they actually have some real world implementation that's going on with that project.
Interesting.
There are some service learning that is connected to the Act 158. So students need those things to be able to graduate on time. We also look at STEM and STEAM. There's been some recent reporting and research done on the impact of STEAM, specifically the arts piece in after school, and how that can connect students culturally, how that can help develop those relationships with other peers and with the educators that are in the building. Big piece for Poseidon is the advocacy piece. So one approach that we have is the after school ambassadors. There is where we seek out a coalition of leaders from across the state of Pennsylvania and equip them and empower them with the policies, with the advocacy that's needed for out of school time. We invite those ambassadors as part of the program to the Empower Conference. We also invite them to Advocacy Day. Advocacy Day is a huge piece of the advocacy goal, which is to actually bring our students out, bring our OST professionals out to the Harrisburg Capitol and actually advocate for the importance of out of school time.
And this year you really had a great turnout for Advocacy Day, over 200 people, which, like you said, included both students and practitioners, parents, talking to legislators about the importance and impact of out-of-school time programming. So kudos to you and your team for coordinating and facilitating that work. I believe, how many years has it been? Over 10 that Poseidon has been engaged in this work. So
Absolutely, yes.
It's a great effort
A lot
that
on
yields
the
results.
lot on the table that day.
Yes.
Right. So that takes us to this sustainability piece for Poseidon, and here comes that boost legislation, right?
Boost, what does that stand
Boost,
for?
building opportunities through out of school time,
Okay.
right? So there is where we are trying to get advocating for a line item from the Pennsylvania state budget to be added for out of school time or after school programming for across the state. That will help out with the access piece.
That's wonderful.
Yes, not only the access piece, we can't ignore the hard workers in the out of school time. So we have to talk about the wages. We have to talk about the benefits of not just the students receiving that extra learning opportunity, but also the staff giving up part of their day, giving up part of their time to really educate and move the students to another level.
Right, because we understand that high quality programs are tied very specifically to high quality staff.
Correct.
And those staff do deserve to be paid a wage, a living wage, first of all, and one that's commensurate with the importance of their work, too. So definitely applauding Poseidon on working on that very important aspect of policy.
Absolutely. Last piece, but not just the only piece to the sustainability, we want to talk about and make sure that we're paying some attention to the summer learning loss, right? So again, the pandemic exposed a lot of inequalities in education. It's not that they weren't there before, but they were actually exposed. And we know that now summer learning loss is real. It's undeniable that if students are not engaged with academics for over a period of time, there's a loss that happens. Again, there's research out there that specifically targets a 5 to 6 week program with 3 hours of educational tutoring will have an impact on that student's entry to their upcoming grade. They will see on those fall test scores a difference in mathematics and reading if we focus on that summer learning loss and try to close the achievement gap in that way as well.
Yes, and I think that's, so critically important. As you said, research has indicated for quite some time now that that summer learning loss, it takes teachers in a new school year 2 to 3 months to actually get students back to where they were before the end of the previous school year. So that's critically important. And I think as Poseidon, continues to push the efforts toward creating more awareness about how out of school time can prevent that summer loss, the better informed parents and educators can be in helping the students make that decision to attend a summer program. So, Contrell, you've had a busy year. You're new to this work, and congratulations, by the way, as the new director of Poseidon. So, what are you thinking about for Poseidon over the next year? What innovations are you looking to create to support out of school time in Pennsylvania?
Right. I think we can continue to build on some of the things that we kind of already have in place, but how do we make those things even richer or more robust? I believe involving our higher education system or universities around the state could definitely have an impact on that innovation piece of what Poseidon is trying to push through. Right now, we have this XR program that we've partnered with Harrisburg University, who has taken the lead on doing webinars and training teachers. And we can't wait to get that assessment back to see how students are taking on to this virtual kind of learning in space that we're at there. I think also tapping into the other intermediate units around the state, right? There we can probably get a really good understanding and a pathway for career tech education. So when we, again, talk about innovation in after school and talking about workforce development, how can we innovate, to take the new innovations in technology, incorporate them in after school or out of school time programming that will lead students on a path of success. So definitely the universities, definitely the other IUs, and definitely continuing to keep our ear to the ground and listen to the youth as well. We can sit in a room and around a table and pull up a whole bunch of research, but believe it or not, they actually have the next idea in their mind. They're just waiting for someone to either ask or someone to help support them move in that direction.
Right.
And that's what Poseidon is about, building that capacity, strengthening the systems to support the children, youth, families across the Commonwealth.
That's excellent. I know student voice has always been an important part of Poseidon's work, and glad to hear that that continues to be an integral part of how you identify best practices and what's actually working in programs across the state. So if someone wanted to join Poseidon, I know it's an open network, right? How would they go about doing that?
We have a website, PSAYDN.org. There you'll be able to stay in the loop of many of the, not just projects that we're doing, but the funding that could be available, current research that's happening, and again, back to the youth voice, getting a chance to see and hear what is happening in OST around the state from the people themselves or the students themselves, the youth.
That's excellent. Well, thank you again for joining me today for discussions with the director. And thank all of you for joining me today. If you would like to know more about the Center for Schools and Communities and how we live our values, visit our website and YouTube channel for more information. Thank you.